Hello and welcome to Setting the Standard. My name is Ian Bernard, and this is the show all about diamond setting and fine jewelry making. Each episode, we sit down with a world-class maker. We hear where they came from, how they got into it, a little about the tools they use, the techniques they have. If you're looking to get into your industry or you're looking to advance your skills, then this is the podcast for you. So today, we're talking to a goldsmith named Simon Finlayson. I met Simon a couple of years ago, and he's got a beautiful little private trade workshop in Hatton Garden in London. As it turns out, after talking, I heard the Canadian accent. Turns out the guy was actually born and raised about an hour from me in Canada. Small world. This is a great conversation. I learned a lot and I really enjoyed it. This was the first show that I actually got to sit down with the maker in their own space and do it all on video. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into it. All right. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. This is my very first podcast, so I'm excited.
Nice. Cool. All right. So tell me, how did you get into jewelry making and how did you end up in London?
It was my dad. So my dad was a goldsmith as well. So I just saw him making jewelry from as far back as I can remember.
Okay.
And I always really liked it. I thought it was really cool. And it was actually, I never had any other jobs in my mind. I just always wanted to do that. So that's how I was introduced, definitely. So I learned from him to start. And I came to London just out of a sense of adventure. It was easy for Canadians to get a visa to come to the UK. So okay. I came not thinking I was going to stay that long, really, and ended up getting a visa, ended up getting a job that I quite liked, just prolonging my stay, but then ended up just staying and then eventually having my own business here. Nice.
So you have residence here now then?
Citizen, yeah.
Citizen.
So dual, yeah, so plan on going on the dole next now.
So how old were you when you got into it then?
Oh, yeah, like I say, so as far back as I can remember, I could watch my dad making jewelry. So I would just, as a kid, hang around in the workshop. So he started working from home quite far back as well. Like when we first moved to Gibsons, to the Sunshine Coast, then he started working from home. So when I was from 5 years old, he was doing always some work from home.
Yeah.
More and more as I got older. So like straight out of school, I started working. So from 17, but even before that, I would go and play around in the workshop a little bit.
Yeah, nice one. So correct me if I'm wrong, but your father apprenticed under Tony Cavelti. Am I saying that correct?
Yeah, Tony Cavelti, yeah.
I read a little bit about this guy. So he's a bit of a name. He's just in the Canadian industry, or is that sort of American as well?
My trivia here is going to fail me. So it was all hand fabricated. He was a big deal. I don't know too much about him. We have a book of his stuff in my parents' house still, but I know that that's who he trained with. Yeah. I know that's who he did an apprenticeship with. I know that he was seemingly very lucky for him to get a spot there.
Sounds like it, yeah.
But yeah, that's as much as I know about that actually.
So just from my quick reading, it looks like this guy he's an absolutely incredible goldsmith, trained in Switzerland, and he's actually made pieces for the Queen of England.
Yes, I think that's right. Yeah,
phenomenal.
Swiss. That's as far as I know. That's exactly right. Yeah.
That's quite an interesting lineage you have as far as the knowledge and skill. How do you find that that's influenced your craft today, and what are some key lessons that you've taken away from that?
From specifically my dad's training.
Do you see the training that you received to be any different from sort of your counterparts in, Canada?
Yes. Training from counterparts in Canada, like training to hand fabricate is rare enough as it is.
Yeah.
So having that training was really, really good. And it was interesting. My mom did the designing and she did a lot of the consultations with clients, and my dad was like in the back doing the jewelry making. But my mom would always kind of a little bit, how can you say, name drop, European style, so it was always this little bit of a brag. So that my dad had that particular training. It is interesting that I ended up here. But what's specific about that training, hand fabrication, is just not a method of mass production. So it's slower to do, it's more expensive to do, it needs a specific skill set to do. Mm-hmm. And all of that training was useful in virtually everything that I do, even with repairs. A lot of repairs that you do, you have some piece which in the UK has been made, and back then just about everything was hand fabricated. A lot of the things were. And so you really just need to unwind how it was made and then pick up where it's left off and then restore every bit that's been damaged. So even with repairs, the hand fabrication training has been essential.
Nice one. Cool. So given that you trained originally in this sort of hand fabrication, I see that you're using CAD nowadays. Run me through sort of your reasoning for doing that, and what are the positives and negatives of that?
Yeah, lots. So, I'm going to probably air a lot of my differences with my old man here on this podcast, so sorry Dad. But it was always kind of viewed as like CAD was going to the dark side, pretty much. My gripe with my old man on that one is he would just say so because he didn't know how to use CAD. But it's not always best. It's just simply not always best. So common conversation I would have with some clients is some clients will do some research online and they'll say, is this going to be hand fabricated or CAD? And like they'll think and they'll know best.
Yeah.
I don't like to include that discussion because a lot of times some things are just best done on CAD and sometimes things are just best done hand fabricated. So I did a restoration of an emerald cut ring just like 2 weeks ago, had to be hand done, and then I have other pieces which they say they want things done by hand fabricated, and it's just simply not best. So some things you can do on CAD, it's going to be much, much better. Things are going to be perfectly symmetrical. Things are going to be a perfect representation of the design. Things are going to be, sometimes CAD is just the best tool. Mm-hmm. It's almost never 100% the best tool. So I'll do things with CAD, I'll design it for a client, I'll print the wax, show them, you can set the stones in there. Then a lot of it huge. I have done before, print the whole thing by the wax, show them, and then I'll just hand make the whole thing based on that wax. Mm-hmm. So you can cast some parts of it, but like for example, claws are always best drawn down by hand.
Yeah.
So you can use some parts like, the shank maybe, but you can hand make as well. So which is best? There's not an answer for that. And I typically try to not include that in a conversation with the client. They'll have a design and I'll do whichever procedure gets to that design the best.
Yeah.
So having a knowledge of both, I think is really, really good as well.
Yeah, brilliant. So what was your experience like coming to sort of a new country, new industry almost in a sense, and now having a business?
Coming to a new country, it wasn't too difficult. Getting a new job as how old was I? 22. Thinking you're pretty hot. Not sure if I can swear on the pod, but and then realizing you're going to get a little bit of a smackdown and keep learning. That was another positive experience, I guess we could say. But coming to the new country wasn't a huge shocker. Obviously, you got to learn lots of different new things. But going from employed to self-employed, very difficult. However, I love my job now. I love my job. My job is a lot of restorations and repairs, and we have just like a steady stream of happy clients. So the job satisfaction is very high now, gotcha. Whereas employed, it's more difficult to get.
The job satisfaction is harder for you to get when you were employed?
For sure. Yeah, no question. So people now, I feel I'm watering my own garden rather than the neighbor's garden.
That's huge.
Of course. But yeah, so customers now, or clients rather, they see me and the job satisfaction is really, really high. And so their appreciation is always really, really nice to see. Whereas when you're employed, you don't often get that. So that would be the biggest difference from having your own business, which I really, really enjoy that now.
So what is the structure of your business at the moment? You're saying you do a bit of bespoke and a bit of repairs?
Yeah. So we have two businesses really, and we have bespoke goldsmith and we have jewelry repair workshop. Okay. And I've tried a few times to make a bespoke goldsmith website. We've had Simon Finlayson Jewelry, I think another one, and Bespoke Goldsmith. Bespoke Goldsmith now, we have a website for that, we have a brand for that, we have an Instagram for that, which is being always worked on, like any website is a constant work in progress and never finished. But jewelry repair workshop was actually far and away what got me off the ground. And it's maybe because I specifically enjoy doing a lot of repairs. So
Really?
my feature or my advantage in the industry might be laser welding.
Mm-hmm.
So I took to that pretty early. Got a laser welder myself immediately when I became self-employed. And it just lends itself to doing repairs and restoration. So that if you don't have one, there's a lot of jobs that smaller workshops would not be able to do. So your audience for repairs is much bigger immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to advertise online and just have a lot of clients for repairs. And still, a lot of our custom work comes from the repair website. Somebody comes in here and now they see the workshop and they say, oh, do you do bespoke work here? And we say, yeah, absolutely. But it's almost all directly through Jewelry Repair Workshop that people are introduced to bespoke goldsmith. But we do have, so probably the split is about a little bit more than half we do repairs and restoration, and then 30-40% is bespoke pieces from scratch.
Okay.
And I really enjoy that mix, actually.
That works for you. So you talked a bit about the advertising online, especially for the Jewelry Repair Workshop. So you guys ranked number 1 for Jewelry Repairs London on the maps, and you're on the first page for Jewelry Repairs London for Google searches. I guess that changes. Tell me about the process of achieving that, because I think that's a big achievement in itself.
That was really hard. You just need to make a few sacrifices to the Google algorithm gods. It was really hard. So the dirty little secret is that I had this great big plan of Jewelry Repair Workshop, and my friends were telling me nobody's going to put their jewelry in the post side. And I'm like, well, there's like 65 million people here. If 1 in 1,000 people will do it, that's enough. Like, I'm one dude. So, so I made this postal service, and I made a cartoon video, and I got a
cartoon video.
Yeah, there's a cartoon instructional video on the website. Like,
Okay.
how to put your jewelry in the little box, and why we're a good idea, and we're here, you can trust us, and or if you take it to a shop, they're just going to probably send it to somebody like us anyway. So
Sure.
you may as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a cartoon video, and so I made the website, the cartoon video, accounts with Royal Mail, insurance, ordered prepaid envelopes. Like, I did everything, and I didn't get a single click, client, or phone call for 6 months. So I obviously didn't tell a soul, because I didn't want my friends to be right.
Of course.
But started to do research, and I got approached by companies that were trying to advertise for me online. I was not very enthusiastic about spending money at the time.
Yeah.
But had one guy who was very, very, very confident and made a special consideration for me because he was very, very confident that it would work. And he worked for Google, and sure enough, it did. So literally the very first day that he started advertising, I had four not phone calls, 4 clients.
Wow.
So that was real good. And so then I immediately took the reins on Google and just dove straight in into trying to understand how Google works, what to do for it to make it recognize that you're a proper service. So lots of adjustments to the website, which are kind of like in the back end, unseen type things, doing search engine optimization, audits, things like that.
Okay.
Honing your Google ads, things like this.
So you are using paid Google ads?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I did, but we haven't done that for a few years now.
So this gentleman that originally approached you, what exactly was it that he was offering? What was the service that you paid for?
He was a third party working for Google, and they were just a marketing agency.
So was he doing SEO for you, or
Google ads?
He was doing Google
ads. And I was running out of money, so I didn't want to spend too much. So spending on Yale was even a little bit much for me at the time. I was just by myself, recently set up a whole workshop, and I was just minding my spending.
Yeah.
But I had a 20-minute conversation with this guy, and after a 20-minute conversation of all these promises he'd made for me, saying how he can change my life and my business, he said, so what's your advertising budget? You know, 3,000, 4,000 per month. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry to have completely wasted your time, sir. You know, I spend, you know, £150 a year on Yell, and I'm not too happy with that. So it was a real embarrassing conversation. But he was, so I asked him for a free sample if he's so confident. No, sorry, can't do that. The bare minimum they do is 3 months, and it was going to be like £1,500 or something. And I was like, no. And he, you know, back and forth with the manager. He said he was able to give me 1 month as like a special consideration. I can pay for 1 month, avoid the setup fee, stuff like this. So, but basically, it was just a Google Ads campaign that he chopped the bare minimum down lower for me so I could reach it. And he did that. And that's what got clients in the door the next day. And then I just became very competent at arranging my own Google Ads. So I just immediately took it away from them and made my own account. And so I was able to tweak everything on there basically and make it better suited for me.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. So this is obviously quite a beautiful studio you've got here. You know, obviously there's been a lot of care and thought and money put into fitting this place out. Is this done for yourself? Is this done for customers? Like, what's your thought process behind creating a space like this?
Yeah, so we designed this just before COVID. So I was stuck in a really, really small place with 3 of us in there. And it was really, really tight. We needed some more space. My thoughts on everything that's in here is that we still see a lot of clients from just the public, so not trade clients. My idea was to have only clients from, how can you say? My idea was to have only clients, public clients, not trade clients, to come in here rather than working business to business. So it needed to look good. It needed to look presentable, but it still needed to be a workshop. So I wanted to have both.
Yeah.
So all I wanted was to have a really nice desk and some nice workbenches that weren't going to be ugly. So many workbenches and so many workshops in London, they look like a bird's nest to me. So they don't look nice, but they're trade workshops and they're designed just to have business to business in there, and that's it. Yeah. We needed to have a workshop that was presentable for clients to come in from the public. So it needed to look good. It needed to function as well. So the workbenches and this, I don't even know what you'd call this, center bench, console, desk, and the desk, they were all designed by a company who is really, really lovely. They're called Coda. And they're from Hull, and I think you can search them on Instagram. Coda Designs, Koda. But they were lovely, and their work is amazing. They helped me design it, and they did a wonderful, wonderful job.
So they did the whole thing.
Everything.
So to anybody who can't see, if you're watching, or if you're just listening to this on podcast, all of this is like fabricated steel frames and live edge. I'm guessing that's walnut?
Walnut. That's American walnut. That's American walnut.
Beautiful.
This is, I can't remember what this is. Oak. That's exactly right. So this is oak, and they did really nice with the cabinets in here. Gorgeous. They welded all this together.
So I'll definitely...
Kind of matches, and everything's really, really nice, and I couldn't be happier with it, to be honest.
So I'll definitely link them down in the description and some photos as well. Definitely worth checking out. It's a really, really lovely studio. So you've spoken a bit about laser, and you're saying that's sort of a specialty of yours.
Yeah.
What makes a good laser operator, and can you give us any tips on people who might be struggling with it?
Oh man, that's a good question. I was introduced to the laser like probably a good 12 to 15 years ago. I'm not sure, when they were still fairly new. So not every workshop had them.
Yeah.
And that was definitely an advantage in starting with repairs. Now, most workshops are going to have them, and they definitely should. So what makes a good laser welder operator? That's a really good question. To be honest, the laser welder is not much more than just like you know, like a magnifying glass with the sun and then focusing it down on the spot. It's pretty much just a glorified version of that, and you just adjust the power and the spot size.
Yeah.
So what makes a really good laser welder operator, whether they're a good goldsmith or not. The laser welding, I think, is a fairly straightforward thing. I would say it's mostly the finishing afterwards that will make it good or bad. There's a little bit of knowledge about things that will be porous, or types of metals you can and can't weld, and things you can weld together, things like that. But for the most part, I would say somebody who's already a very competent goldsmith is going to take to it like a duck to water.
Is that right? Okay. Good to hear. All right. So aside from obviously the laser, as we've spoken about, like what's some of your favorite tools here in the workshop?
Aside from the laser, favorite tools in the workshop. Well, my recent one is a microscope, which you would be very, very familiar with.
I would be.
But it would have to be the laser welder far and away. I mean, it's gonna be things like this, which we would call a benchmate. So lots of people would have just their bench pin. For my one, this comes off and you can swap it up with just about anything. So you have any number of fixtures you can put on here.
Are you using that benchmate for a lot of goldsmithing tasks as well?
Oh yeah, for repairs, a little bit of stone setting, and so you got a saw plate here. This is perfect for ring sizings. This one.
Nice. Is that GRS?
Yeah, all GRS. So GRS has a whole bunch of amazing things they can put here. So that is amazing, and not everybody has that. So I introduced that to a few people in here. Now they all have it, and sometimes they're stealing my stuff. So cool. Yeah, would be that one. Other than that, favorite tools, far and away the laser welder.
Yeah. It's good, hey? Tell me about using the microscope for goldsmithing. I'm starting to see this a little bit more nowadays. It seems to be something that younger goldsmiths are doing.
And it was, again, going to the dark side. Was not allowed one earlier. You don't need that. You don't need that. So it's something that my dad definitely wouldn't do. He would say as well, it ruins your eyesight, even though I still have perfect vision and he's practically blind. But yeah, it's controversial. It's controversial for sure. It is. I say that I use it for stone setting, and now I use it for way more. So you can see my bench pin is lowered here, and that's to accommodate the microscope.
Of course.
So, they say once you start, it's difficult to go back. I would say that's true. You end up doing more and more under the microscope, like including sometimes eating your lunch or answering your phone. But it's a slippery slope into doing just about everything under there.
Yeah.
And I definitely can testify to that. However,
my next question, I suppose.
And it will slow you down, but the quality of your work, I think, just takes like a very big standard deviation up. So the quality of your work it just goes up by a margin.
I mean, the quality,
you can just see more. Yeah, you can see more, and your mistakes are microscopic compared to the size that they would have been. And I would struggle to not have it now. So I do a lot of goldsmithing under there, and I think it's good.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm pro microscope.
Absolutely. I'm the exact same way. We still get the same pushback among some setters too.
No.
There's some really old school types.
Yeah, real old school.
Just say you don't need it, but I'm all for it.
Yeah, they don't.
As far as from the goldsmithing side, I've actually never heard anybody mention that it'll slow you down, and I suppose that makes sense because obviously your tools are
anything that's very, very, very good is going to slow you down. Nothing that's very, very good is super quick. So in my opinion, you see more mistakes, you see more detail that needs attention. And so it just slows you down that way. You see more things that you want to rectify.
So
it improves your standard and slows you down.
Is it a proportionate improvement to the time loss? Do you know? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. That's because obviously to some people, the quality improvement would be more important if it was a disproportionate. If there was a higher time loss to how much better their pieces got,
Yeah.
but they could still justify it because they just wanted
Oh,
top
for
quality pieces anyway.
So if
But
you-
I'm just kind of curious, like for instance,
If
say
you're
you
mass
were-
producing anything, it's not going to be for you.
Yeah, okay.
So, and absolutely no shade on that. There's a market for everything, and people want to buy things at all price ranges. So that's absolutely not a problem. But it's definitely not for everyone.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Fair.
not for everyone because sometimes speed is a factor. It's rare that that's the case for us.
Gotcha. All right. Hey everyone, I just wanted to take a quick second and thank you guys all so much for listening. This show is done entirely in the very little spare time that I have, and I'm not spending anything on marketing. This is all organic. If you guys are enjoying the show, it would mean the absolute world to me for you guys to share it and just bring more listeners to the show, because that is what helps this show grow. And the bigger this show gets, the bigger the guests are that I'm going to be able to get on, and the more episodes I'm going to be able to bring you. So if you guys are enjoying this, share it to your Instagram stories, send it to a friend of yours. If you think they'd be interested, whatever you do, I would just really appreciate it. Subscribes, reviews, you name it. Thanks so much again. Let's get back to it. So you're using the Leica A60. Do you know what lens you've got on the bottom of that?
I got a few, and I don't know which one that is. I picked one which was good for this focal length to work at here, but not familiar exactly with what lens that is. But
No problem. All right. Just looking at your bench here, I see you've got a Marathon Handy 700.
yeah,
And you do not appear to use a pendant drill.
controversial again. So I
Tell
used
me
to have a
about that.
pendant drill. I used to have both until the other one became surplus to requirement. These ones spin incredibly fast and incredibly true.
They do.
And I've had this one for over 5-6 years now and haven't used a pendant drill or a Fordham or anything like that. They just seem absolutely brutal to me now, and my colleagues use them. But
Yeah.
now I had a backup of this, and Marcus has stolen it, and now he's on it. So why do I not use Fordham? The torque is just simply not there in these ones. It's just really rare that I have to do that.
That you need the torque.
Yeah. So you'd only need that much torque if you're using like a really big bulb or a really big bulb phrase, which is rarely the case. So you do have to have some workarounds, which you just use a smaller one and then grind out, a hole, and then you could use the bigger one when you don't need as much torque. But I don't use a Fordham. It's not even here. Hasn't been for years.
No,
and
fair.
this one, do you use the same?
I use the same. Yeah. So I've got the Handy Eco 1000, but it's the same handpiece on these two machines.
Yeah.
So same amount of torque, same everything. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, brilliant piece of kit.
I use workarounds to not use the Fordham for like the once a month occasion when I need to do that.
So you've obviously got several extra benches in here. I see a setting bench. So do you have employees? Do you rent benches? What's that dynamic?
So I used to have some employees before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Before COVID, we were up to a team of 4, including myself. So things were growing,
Yeah.
which prompted me to get some more space. COVID changed everything. Did this build during COVID. That was really, really a difficult time.
No kidding.
However, now some of the space, I have one full-time employee who helps me with sales, management, admin, and he's brilliant, and he's been in the industry for as long as me, so he's incredibly professional. Couldn't operate without him. His name's Ryan. And
So he does no bench work.
no bench work at all.
Full time, just on essentially admin and
That's right.
clients. And brilliant. That's
So yeah,
Jealous.
yeah. So it's that helps a lot.
of course.
Any one-man shows who are trying to expand, I understand your struggles. Having somebody like Ryan is fantastic, who's an actual professional, brilliant. So he was working in sales and things like that in jewelry shops around here. I fully nicked him from another business.
That's how it goes.
So yeah. It's the best way to go, actually. So what was the question again?
Just asking about the dynamic. And so you're renting benches or?
So there's 4 benches in here and there's a setter's bench there. So used to have a team of 4 and was expanding. COVID happened, and now all the benches are actually rented space, except for the desk, which my colleague Ryan works at full time. So Ryan and I work for the same business, and the others all are self-employed, however have very good professional things going on their own, and sometimes we'll work together. Yeah. But they're renting space and they have their own thing going on. Sure. They're people who actually all that I've worked with before, so that's very, very comfortable. So the dynamic's really, really good. Except for Carlos, who's a stone setter. He's a recent addition, but he's been fantastic.
Perfect. Given obviously how well apprenticeships appear to have worked for your, father and yourself, where do you stand on apprenticeships in today, essentially?
Oh my gosh, I wish there was. I'm just totally in favor, and I think it should happen a lot more. And I'm able to make a living doing jewelry repairs now. I could make somebody profitable and productive quite quickly. Yeah. I wish it would happen a lot more. I'm looking for people who I can train. Yeah, of course. I don't want to sound like an old man complaining about today's youth, but
this is why I asked the question.
Okay, so I'm not going to be the odd man out here, but no. Like I had somebody who started, and he was a bright young fella, and we still get along very well, so I'm going to trash him here. But he quit. He's got like a little bit of his own thing going on Instagram and stuff like that. So he quit, and he still comes here to use the equipment. So we get along very well. Yeah. And he said, I said, just try it. And he left because he was abandoning his own thing, which is totally fair. I said, you're not doing anything wrong. That's fine. And can I still come and use the machine? Yeah, for sure. You can just pay the normal rate, but we hire the machines out. Yeah. He comes here every now and then, and I ask him, how's business? And it's a little bit slow. And I said, well, I have absolutely no sympathy for you, sir. So we're here ready. I hope you don't get any more clients. But of course, I mean that sarcastically. So, but he quit, and he was good, and he would have been good. And he's still probably going to be good. It's going to take longer for him to get good because he doesn't have one-to-one training, but very promising, but didn't work out. More people like that would be amazing to find. I don't know where they are.
It's the problem.
So am I in favor of apprenticeships? Big time. I had one, worked for me. I got a trade, I got a job, I can make a living. It was a struggle in my mind to think about going self-employed. Making bespoke jewelry is very competitive. Mm-hmm. Very, very competitive. Difficult to get a foothold in there, but I enjoy doing repairs, and now I can make a living doing that. But I enjoy it. That's fine.
Absolutely.
So where are all the apprentices? I don't know.
So I have the same feelings about apprenticeships in today's age, in that the model that has previously worked for so long, and I think it's largely down to...
It has worked for so long.
It has worked for a long time.
I don't know where it went wrong, but...
Well, it went, in my humble opinion, it went wrong with social media, which is unfortunate because, it's a double-edged sword in that it's given a lot of us an opportunity that we didn't have before. But as a result of that, it's sort of taken away that responsibility, that feeling of like, okay, well, I owe this person for apprenticing me.
I think I think social media has a big part to play, but taking a role as an apprentice is a little bit of humble pie.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not glamorous to start. And it's a long time before it becomes any glamour at all.
A long time.
But that's normal. And there's a distorted view that, everything wants everything done quick. Mm-hmm. It was 10 years before I'd be able to stand on my own feet as a self-employed person. Thinking that I would have been competent enough to do things with a well-rounded skill set to serve a client. 10 years, not 1 or 6 months so, that took a long time. Being an apprentice is eating some humble pie for a while. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's not as much of an appetite for that, for people having humility to take that for a while. But there are fewer and fewer people going into this industry. There's going to be a big demand.
Definitely.
There's going to be a big demand for sure, because these people are going extinct. My dad's just retired. Everyone who has a dad who's done this, they're retiring.
Yeah.
The numbers in this industry are going, I'm having a guess here, I don't know. I'm assuming they're going down. So we're busy. An apprentice would be busy, but yeah, I think it's because of wanting some more immediate gratification quickly and some glamour for the job, that's why I think there's not more apprentices. But that's my guess. I don't know that for sure.
So if somebody was listening and they wanted to get into this and maybe they thought the apprenticeship route or something, like what would you say to a person who had no contacts within the industry, who wanted to get in and was maybe running up against resistance from somebody in a position to give an apprenticeship,
Well, I got an answer
but
for
maybe
this.
not be very open to it because of previous experiences like yourself as somebody quitting?
So I came to this country in 2009, which is the height of a financial crisis in a luxury industry. People was not hiring. So I was ready to like pull pints or make coffees or do whatever, just like, prolong my stay here in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an answer for that. If somebody is wanting to get a job or an apprenticeship, it is hard to just work the phones. Like we have people emailing us saying, I'm from this place, I'm so-and-so, can I have a job? And this is more difficult. If you're a young, bright, hardworking person who's willing to do a full day's work and you can make yourself look clean and presentable, what I did in the height of a financial crisis when there was nobody hiring, I handed out a bunch of CVs. There was one place that I wanted to work at and I had some time on my hands. I went back there and I said, my name's Simon, you guys said you weren't hiring, it's no problem. I'll tell you what, I have some skills. You might not be able to say that, but you could say that I'll work for you for 3 days for free. And worst case scenario is you have 3 days free labor. And for me, I just see how things are done here. In my case, I said I would get to see how things are done here in the UK, and that'd be beneficial for me. And you'd get 3 days free labor. What do you say? And they were like, okay. I had that job for 6.5 years. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
Go there.
That was
say hi.
13 years ago now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well
done.
Go there, say hi, and go to the places you want to work at and offer them free labor. Say that you'll mop the floor. Say that you'll just tidy up. And that's what you have to do. But there's a lot of people who work the phones and that will get ignored more quickly.
Yeah.
So if you really want to get an apprenticeship or a job somewhere, pick 10 of the best places that you want to go and go there and give your time for free. And that's what will get attention. But that's what got me a job.
All right, cool. Is there any, obviously aside from your employee, is there any key things that help you organize your workflow, your day-to-day life? Like, are you using any systems?
Ryan.
Yeah, we all need a Ryan. Is that
so we do all need a Ryan. Systems and workflow. If you don't have that, you will be lost for sure. So you could probably be a one-man show and expanding maybe quickly, and you'll get lost, especially if you're not organized. Find some online ticketing software that's going to work for you.
Which one are you using?
We're using one. It's expensive, but it's called Repair Shopper.
Okay. So it's jewelry specific?
No, it's actually usually like electronics, phone specific, things like that. But it's generic.
Okay.
But there, I think, are better, cheaper ones out there. We're a little bit married to this one now, but it does work, and it's a bit expensive. But
can you give us an idea of what you mean by expensive?
Yeah, $1,200 a year.
It's $100 a month.
Yeah, I think
it's not going to take that long if it saves time. That's not to justify that.
Yeah, $1,200 a year. If you've been doing it for 5 years, then that's about £6,000. You could purchase or make, but for somebody starting out, then that's down the road. But so that's what we're using. My parents was really funny. The last 2 times ago that I went back to go and visit there, they're still doing like old school,
handwritten.
Write in a notebook, a master book, rip off the ticket, and give them the stub, and I'm like, this would not work anymore. So
Now, when you say it wouldn't work anymore, is that because of the quantity, or is that just the day and age that people want?
I think the day and age. That's what I would expect of the dry
trackable,
cleaners. You know,
more trackable. Yeah. Okay.
So now we take a picture of everything, send it to the client as a receipt that we have it, and it helps with organization, and it helps with authentication.
Okay.
So that's, we have ticketing software for everything.
Nice.
Essential.
Having a look through your jewelry repair workshop website, you've got quite clear pricing laid out there, which is, in my experience, that's not something that many people do. Can you explain your thought process there and how you feel that affects, the client relationship and everything else?
When you're looking for a service and you're sifting through online, you got 5 websites to go through. How long before you skip to the next website?
Not long.
Not long. We'll all admit that.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing you're looking for, the price.
Typically.
So,
which is scary.
Which is scary.
Down to something as important as grandma's ring.
And
still,
with grandma's ring, we can't always stick to that price. So there is a price list, because that's probably the first thing that people are looking for.
Interesting.
But it says that it's a guide. 80-90% of procedures are pretty similar.
Yeah.
But it is a guide.
Of course.
So probably 1 in 10 jobs we're having to say, very sorry, but this one is not at all off the shelf, kind of.
Yeah.
So we'll have to give, and then we'll just give a quote based on our workshop hourly rate. So there is a price list there, and I put that there. We get to honor that probably over 90% of the time.
Was there a time in this jewelry repair workshop website business that you did not have prices on there? No, you've had them right from the very beginning.
I just know what I'm looking for when I'm going through online.
Yeah. And
I hate, email us, give us your details, let us harvest your details before we'll give you any indication of price. Next.
Nice.
We can stick to that price a lot of the time.
That's good.
And it says on there it's a guide. Mm-hmm. So, but we still get to keep that. So, that's what people want. I know that's what I want when I'm sifting around online for a service.
Why not?
So people want prices. So I made a price, and that was from day one.
Nice. Do you have any favorite jobs, or a job, a stone, anything that sticks out in your mind as man, I'm really glad I got to work on that?
As far as repairs, restoration, or
anything that sticks out in your mind that you just look back fondly upon?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, we get a real mixed bag. Yep. So jewelry repair workshop has a lot of prominence online. So people get in all kinds of jams, and they'll get on the phone in a panic and call us with all sorts of things that are kind of not always our thing. But we repaired a bronze vessel pot thing that was actually on the film set of a Robert Pattinson film called The King. They broke it, they rented it, and they needed it fixed. Sorry guys, they broke it for the antique shop. They were paying £500 a day hiring this little pot, and they busted it. They had dropped the lid or something, and we had to fix that. They paid for a rush, thanks again. So we do get lots of interesting things like that. We put one on TikTok there where a lady, she literally blended her platinum ring in the blend, just gouged it to absolute hell. Assumed it was gone. I mean, it was pretty bad. Yeah. Just slashes all over it. And we brought it back to full, day one, new. The laser welder is amazing on platinum. So when people think their piece is absolutely gone, and we can bring it all the way back, those ones are the most satisfying ones, because people call and they're ready to throw up their hands and just scrap it.
Nice.
It's just not always the case. Mm-hmm. So people get on the phone. I have run over my piece of jewelry, or I've stuck it in the blender. We've had somebody potato mash their ring before, and we've brought them all the way back. We had somebody run over their piece of jewelry in the car park, folded, crumpled, took all day, uncrumpled it, laser welded every single crack, rebuilt all the claws, took the stones out, put it back in. So it's a lot of the times where pieces they're a write-off.
Yeah.
We're not cheap, and we say this is going to take 8 hours, and it's going to be worth more than the piece. It's no problem for them.
Yeah.
They just want, this piece is really important to them and they want it back. Those ones are really satisfying all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I bet. That's cool. So you talked a little bit about TikTok there. Do you have any, like, what's your experience so far with sort of social media?
My experience is everything that you've taught me only. So I'm learning, and I'm just trying to, my Instagram sucks and it's lifeless, but I'm learning there. So I was trying to do that for a long time, and I got real antsy about putting images and videos out if they weren't like perfectly flawlessly polished and edited. But how often did that happen? Not very often, so I wasn't posting enough at all. So I like quietly, without telling my colleagues, started a TikTok account. Really? And thanks to some lovely pointers that you gave me about putting my face on there, putting subtitles on there, telling a bit of a story, like immediate attention right away. I've only just started with TikTok, and just the last 2 posts that I've made doing those things, they've got like over 10 times the amount of views. So
amazing.
Yeah, super good. So I have one on there which I posted like 2 weeks ago. It's got 16,000 views now.
Nice.
So normally like 300. So my social media presence has been pretty bad. Not bad, but not very much.
Yep. And
something I'm definitely working on to improve, and gonna try and do that very intentionally this year.
Nice. What do you wish somebody had told you when you were first starting out?
That's a good question.
Now, this can be in your career, this can be in business, be anything.
Keep better track of the pieces you've made in the past. Take good pictures.
That one resonates with me. Some of my favorite pieces, I'm like, oh my God.
So
I didn't even get a photo.
Take good pictures. When I built this workshop, I got a good camera.
Yeah.
I spent thousands and thousands of pounds on a light box setup, which is the fussiest, moodiest piece of equipment.
Yeah. I remember you telling me about that.
My gosh. But take good pictures.
Yeah.
One day you'll be making something for whether it's your clients or your friends. There are pieces that you make even when you think you're, fairly junior, but the design's great, you're proud of the piece. Take good pictures.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pieces that escaped. Clients come pick them up right away. As soon as it's done, it's out the door.
Yeah.
That's
the industry.
Take good pictures.
We're down to the wire so often.
Yeah. That would have to be it.
I'm a huge proponent of that, and just like from a marketing standpoint as well. Even I don't sell a whole ton to the general public, but this is something I've been thinking a lot about recently with sort of the influx in the past 5-10 years of the pieces coming over from wherever now, and they're mass produced and they're poor quality and the diamonds are terrible and they're set poorly and everything else. And clients don't know the difference. They don't know the difference unless you can show them.
But once they're shown, they appreciate
absolutely.
a great deal.
Absolutely.
So it's very rare that once you show them the difference, they're going to say, "Oh, actually, no, this one's fine."
Yeah.
So, and it would be very similar for like me now with furniture. It's difficult for me to go anywhere else other than having like custom American walnut live edge.
Yeah.
If I'm buying a dining table at home, I'm like, oh, it's not live edge? No, not for me. Like, I need, so once you're shown the difference, it's difficult to go back. Jewelry is no different. Custom tailored clothing, custom furniture, jewelry is no different. You rarely have somebody get custom pieces of jewelry made, set properly, good diamonds, that they go, oh, actually, this one off the shelf is going to do just fine.
Afterward, yeah.
It's not how
There's no
it's
going
done.
Back
no.
when you get it done nice.
So, I can't remember what the question was there.
No, I'm just basically what you're saying, it ties directly back into the photography for me, because I feel like, you can be making the most brilliant jewelry in the world, but then even showing somebody how to use a loop so they can even see that with their naked eye, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Whereas with the price of cameras, you can get a pretty quality camera with a decent enough lens that'll take some great photos now for relatively affordably. And I think you're leaving money on the table if you're not taking advantage of sort of some of the new photography abilities as a market, like showing the quality at that macro level.
I think it was more difficult to do, even like you say, 5 to 10 years ago, to educate people of those differences remotely or on your Instagram or something like that. I think you're more able to do that now. And so I think that's a really good thing to do, to be able to show people the difference between the two. It's a shame. You know what I think would be a really, really good idea? Sometimes when we're showing clients a stone, we've had the advantage of having some, can I swear on the pod?
Yeah, go for it.
Some really shitty pieces
that
have been into repair. And when we're showing a new piece, it's sometimes good to have a piece that's not good.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to be a really good idea is, here's some really lovely set stones, VS, VVS, here's a piece that was mass produced out east, and here's how the stones are set. Here's the quality of the stones, things like that. So being able to show a good and bad, I think that's what we're going to start doing a little bit more.
Nice.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So what's the next steps for your business? Where do you see yourself going?
Right now, it would be a really sad thing for me to stop surfing the wave that I'm on now. We're really busy all the time with repairs. The next step is just to have a little bit more social media presence and take a little bit more joy in making custom pieces. Yeah. So repairs, we're swamped with work, and we still really enjoy that. Really difficult for me to buy out time to do some of the things that I want to do. But actually what I wanted to do was have a really busy repair business. We got that now. Next is to actually be able to take out a little bit of time and make some pieces and film the whole process and show that to clients, basically to educate them the difference between this was made in the Far East versus this was made and this took a lot of time and this took a lot of care. And that will be the next place I want to go. Nice.
All right. So where can we find you?
If you want to have a repair done, jewelryrepairworkshop.co.uk, and Bespoke Goldsmith, we're on Instagram and TikTok as Bespoke Goldsmith and bespokegoldsmith.co.uk.
Nice one, man. Well, thanks very much.
No problem.
It's been a pleasure chatting.
And same to you.
All right. We'll chat soon. Cheers. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. What a fantastic guy. That was just a really, really nice time. Like getting to see his studio in person. I've been there once before, but getting to go back there, it's a real pleasant space. He's done really nice things there. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this. If you did, leave us a comment down below. Tell us what you thought. Let me know who you'd like to hear next on here. And if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you do so you'll be the first one to know when a new episode goes live. As usual, you'll find all of Simon's details down below and you can check him out. You'll find a lot of my details as well. And if you guys are new to diamond setting or you're just getting into it, definitely have a look at my website, settingthestandard.co. I've got some great free resources on there that'll get you guys going on your journey. And definitely make sure to check out some of the other videos on my channel. Thanks for listening.